Sure. Hey, Keith. My name is James Masella from Movie Death Blows. Thanks for taking the time to sit down with
James,
me today.
how are you, man?
Good. How are you, my friend?
Hey, if I were any better, I would have to take something for it.
I hear you. So, coming on board Sneaks as the OG, how do they come to the legendary Keith David and ask you to play a shoe?
You'd have to ask them that. I just accepted the job.
Did you get any input on like what your shoe was going to look like, or they're just like, "Hey, we're just going to make you this kind of old looking sneaker"?
No, I had a wonderful visual about what he looked like, and he looked like an old pair of Converses, which was in my wheelhouse because that's the first pair of sneakers I ever owned was a pair of Converses.
Was the toothpick your idea? Because I was like, I don't know. I feel like Keith kind of threw that in there himself when I was watching.
Chicken or the egg.
What's it like for you getting to do this voiceover work as compared to like on camera acting? Do you love it more, or is it just about the same?
I like to work. So it's about I don't bring anything different to the animation table that I would if I was sitting at a table reading a play or reading a movie. It's all about the relationships and who are you talking to? Why are you talking to them? You know, what am I trying to say? What is this? Because in every relationship there's a story there to be told. What am I trying to convey? What am I trying to communicate?
Yeah, Spawn, the TV show, when that came out, I made my dad rent us that. I didn't tell him what it was about exactly. And he was like
Uh-huh.
watching it. He's like, what in the world is this? I was like, the guy from The Thing is in it, and I really like him, so please let me watch it. He was like, okay. But I got to get greedy here with a question for you, Keith. Gene Hackman recently passed away. I was recently just watching The Quick and the Dead, where you played Sergeant Cantrell. It's a line I say in my head all the time. My name is Clay Cantrell, and I'm a shootist. I say that to myself all the time. Don't ask me why, I just do. What was it like shooting that scene with Gene and the shootout in general? What was it like for you?
um, it was a great pleasure and a privilege. The one thing I learned from Gene Hackman is the value of throwing the ball back. You know, um, he was the same on his close up as on my close up. He didn't do any less, and I'm not, and sometimes people do. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get to do your close up with the stars stand in. But he wasn't like that. He was extremely, wonderfully generous with me. And I have nothing but the deepest respect for him.
I love to hear that. Going back to Sneaks here for a minute, what kind of shoes do you have on right now?
I have a pair of Rockports on right now.
Could you see
Comfort shoes, dude.
could you see Rockford showing up in a Sneak sequel or anything like that, or no?
It depends on the story they want to tell. We want to start talking about, hey, there's comfort and there's comfort. And there's comfortable dressy and there's, you can dress up a pair of Rockports.
I have no
So
doubt.
nowadays we can wear sneakers with a suit. So, I mean, that wasn't always true. But nowadays you can see tuxedos and sneakers. They
I
can't
love
be raggedy sneakers. They gotta be new, Louboutin,
my wife definitely. Yeah, she would definitely be rocking those. But I was talking about how much I love seeing you getting to do voice work. But I know a couple of weeks ago you were down on Hollywood Boulevard with John Carpenter and Kurt Russell and those guys, giving him his star on the Walk of Fame. Like I
Yeah.
said, I love The Thing, so I'm probably going to ask you a question you've been asked 1,000 times. Who is the Thing at the end of The Thing? Is it you or is it Mac? What do
Did
you
you
think?
did you see did you see us speaking at the on the Walk of Fame?
I did not get to see it. No.
Oh, okay. Well, the first thing I said was, "Let me straighten this out. It wasn't me." Okay,
It's only been debated for like 40 years now. So,
that's right.
I,
And I still say, well, it's so if you think so. Whatever, I mean, whatever you think is the truth of that ending, that's true for you.
I can't believe that was only like one of your like second movie roles and anything like that. It feels like you'd been
It
around.
was my first movie role.
Was it really? So, last question before we wrap up here again. Do you have anything in the future come up you can tell us about that you're really excited about that you're working on?
I have a TV series coming out. It'll be coming out in May. It's called Duster on HBO Max.
Oh,
Check it out.
can't wait. Uh, Thanks, Keith. I appreciate your time. This has been an honor for me. Love talking to you. Hopefully, we'll get to talk again at some point.
Yes, indeed. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, buddy.